Welcome everyone to another video, and in this video I'm going to be talking about why Groudon is not a top tier attacker. And I know maybe not a timely topic, but some recent raids that I did kind of inspired me to look at Groudon. So why is Groudon not a top tier attacker? King has really great stats, and that's true, but when we look at the numbers, so for example, when we look at Groudon's DPS, and this is provided by Gamefreak, so I'll include a link in the description to their website, but everyone should know Gamefreak at this point in time. You'll see that its best moveset is actually a non-ground moveset, both a fast and charge move. So Dragon Tail Solar Beam is its best moveset by DPS at 14.729, and its best same type attack bonus moveset is Mudshot Earthquake at 13.97, so significantly behind its moveset, and that's because of its ground moveset is pretty terrible. Mudshot is okay, could be better, but it's not an absolutely terrible moveset, while Earthquake is a very questionable moveset for Groudon and for ground Pokemon in general. So how do these numbers compare to other Pokemon? So when we take a look at comparing to other Pokemon, we'll see that attack form Deoxys is at 21.856, like an extremely outlier number, something that's not realistic to achieve practically in most roast rates. So we can kind of ignore that, and we'll see that Rayquaza is 18.68. Normal form Deoxys, Rampardos, Salamence, Gengar, Mewtwo, Metagross, Palkia, Blaziken, all really great Pokemon because of their stats and or moveset. So for Blaziken, it's more so its moveset with counter and Blast Burn, especially Blast Burn being such an amazing moveset. So where does Groudon's double ground moveset put it in terms of this hierarchy of DPS? And we'll see that it actually lands on the same page as Double Fairy Granbull with Charm and Play Rough, or Pokemon like Alolan Raichu, which only maxes at 2286, which is like about half of what Groudon maxes at, and it has Spark, Wild Charge. It lands in the same category as like non-fully evolved Pokemon like Magneton, for example. Same thing as Miss Magius. None of these Pokemon known as like powerhouses of their respective types. So Groudon, pretty poor numbers, pretty poor DPS. So, but the question is why is Earthquake so bad? So why is Earthquake so bad? Let's first understand what makes a good move. So move quality is equal to based off of a number of different components, but the components include power, so how much damage that particular charge move does, duration, like how long the cooldown period is for the move before you can do your next move, the activation, at what point in time does the damage, or also known as damage window, apply to the Pokemon. So the longer your duration, or longer your activation, the more likely that you're going to faint while attempting that charge move, which means the damage won't apply, and then you just missed your opportunity to do a fast move instead. And then there's some like issues with, like, if you do a charge move while you're fainting, then the damage, then you end up like lagging on your next Pokemon. So ideally you want a shorter activation or a quicker activation. And then energy. So in Pokemon Go PV, in raids, there are three energy bars. 1 bar, which is 100 energy, 2 bar, which is 50 energy, and then 3 bar, which is 33 energy. And this is important to understand because generally, if you take more energy, you want to be able to do more damage. So for example, the highest damage or power moves in the game are moves like Solar Beam or Draco Meteor or Focus Blast, and those are 1 bar moves. While the lowest energy or damage moves are generally 3 bar moves, but not always the case, and there's certainly some exceptions. So if we take a look at Earthquake, you see that Earthquake base power is 120, which is okay. It's not terrible. It's not like Psychic or Thunder or Close Combat or Stone Edge. But it's also not Draco Meteor or Focus Blast or Solar Beam, but it's somewhere in the middle, so you can live with it. It's a 1-bar move, which is not good. Again, we talked about the implications of a 1-bar move. Well, we actually didn't really talk about it. I'll quickly summarize it. So, 1-bar move means that you're more likely to be overcharged. So, for example, if you're attempting, a Solar Beam, and that's a 1-bar move, and you get hit by the Brave Bird or a charge move by the opposing Pokemon, then you won't get the energy from that receiving that damage, which means that your overall DPS is going to be lower than if it was a 2-bar or a 3-bar move, where you're basically continuously getting energy. The damage window is 2.7, and the move cooldown is 3.6, and these are pretty bad. They're not absolutely terrible like Psystrike is, but these are stats for a move that doesn't scream that it's particularly good. So when we actually do compare it in real life, or in theory, I guess in this case, looking at a more comprehensive calculation as provided by GamePress, you'll see that Earthquake is 36 at 40 DPS times DP, while the best move available in game is Frenzy Plant. Actually, not sure why Hydro Cannon. That's weird. I must have took an old list, but anyways, you get the idea. So you'll see that it actually doesn't include a lot of them, but that's fine. You'll see that Frenzy Plant is significantly better than Earthquake, and even Shadow Ball, Solar Beam, a number of different moves are significantly better than Earthquake. But this measure generally overinflates moves like that 1-bar move. So, for example, you see Overheat and Sky Attack have the exact same DPS times DP. But when we actually look in practice, we look at Moltres against Venusaur, for example, we see that its time to win for Fire Spin Sky Attack is 332.8, while for Fire Spin Overheat, both moves are super effective. Both receive same type attack bonus from Moltres Flying Fire typing, and you'll see that the time to win is about 6% faster. So when we actually account for that, you'll see that Earthquake is actually even worse and is actually scaled down when compared to the top moves in the game. Again, this move list doesn't include a number of different moves. I'm not sure why, but you get the point anyways. And when we take a look at will new moves save Groudon, like some of you might ask, isn't Groudon going to get Precious Blade? Wouldn't that make it significantly better? And it will make it better, but will it be enough to save Groudon? So we take a look. I'm not amazing at using GamePress's comprehensive DPS spreadsheet, so I kind of just did the math on my own. So I took the Primal Groudon with, this should actually say Mudshot, but Mudshot, Mudslap is roughly the same. I think Mudshot is slightly better. But when we scale Primal Groudon with these particular charge moves that it has access to, and we scale them down to Groudon, because Groudon has significantly worse stats than Primal Groudon, you'll see that Earth Power, with Mudshot Earth Power, Groudon does 15.89, which means that would be its best moveset, and then Precious Blade obviously puts it into a pretty good category. So where does it actually place it? So if Groudon were to get Earth Power, it would place it somewhere in the 30 to top 40 list, somewhere in the range of behind Kyogre, which I think is very appropriate, ahead of Haunter, ahead of Blastburn, Charizard, in the same category as like many of these Pokemon that have are either glass cannons, like Espeon and Flareon, or legendary Pokemon with non-super OP movesets. So I think this is an appropriate area for Groudon to be, and very appropriate to be right beside Kyogre, its legendary foe. So, but what happens if it gives it Precious Blades without a primal evolution, or primal form, as probably more appropriate saying? Then then it would be in the very top category. It would actually be about the 11th best Pokemon, slightly, or the 12th best Pokemon, behind, like, some of these OP legendary Pokemon that have really high attack set and a good move pool, like Rayquaza, like Mewtwo, like Palkia. But in the same category as Pokemon that have like very good stats and very good moves. So, for example, Dialga, Moltres, Dragonite, Garchomp. So it certainly would make it way better. And then, obviously, if it gets the primal form, then it'll be significantly better. So, what inspired me to actually look at this and propose some solutions? The one thing is, I was taking a look at the time to win for Groudon versus Kingler. So it turned sunny when I was doing some raids with Sparkle Tangerine, and I was like, okay, let's do Groudon versus Entei duo. And when I was looking at the calculations, I actually saw that it had a slower time to win, or a worse time to win than Kingler. And I thought that was so strange to me. I know Kingler with Crabhammer being like one of the, in my previous video, like top 10 moves in the entire game. But the thing is that Groudon has 30 more attack stat, plus the Sunny boost would put it in like effectively like 300 and like 325-ish attack stat compared to Kingler's 240, which means it has like 33% more attack stat than Kingler. But in a Bubble is probably effectively a better moveset, better fast move than Mudshot, but it doesn't make that big a difference. Really, the big difference is the difference between Crabhammer and Earthquake, and how much better Crabhammer is compared to Earthquake, that it's able to overcome effectively an 80 plus attack stat difference when you factor in the 20% weather boost. Is in my opinion not the appropriate thing for not the appropriate respect that a Pokemon like Groudon should be getting. When Groudon, I'm not saying Groudon should be better than every non-legendary Pokemon, but the fact that it's not better than Kingler with the weather boost is speaks to how poorly the moveset is for Groudon. So let's actually take a look at the battle. Oh, okay. Actually, let me just go back to the very beginning. So again, I'm doing this with Sparkle Tangerine. She is on the right, and I am on the left. And I'm using a full team of Groudons that have, most of them are 100%, and Sparkle Tangerine is using a Bubble, Crabhammer, mostly 100% Kinglers. And this is the same rate. And we're going to take a look at how much of a difference the DPS is. And you'll see that this Crabhammer is amazing because of how much damage it does, and then how quickly it is able to do bubbles right after. You could see standing side by side each other when Groudon does an Earthquake, it basically stands there. It does the Earthquake animation and then stands there for one more second before I can actually do any more mud shots. Well, Kingler, as you see right now, does the Crabhammer, and then immediately after his animation is doing another bubble, which has like huge implications on how much damage and DPS Kingler and Groudon output. And this is not the smoothest run by us. Like we're just trying to show it with no dodging, and we're going up against Fire Spin, Iron Head, and because of the resistance that Kingler has and Groudon doesn't have, that means they're about effectively the same tankiness. Groudon might be a little tankier still, but they're pretty similar. So really the main difference between these Pokemon are their attack stats and their moveset. And Groudon should have the advantage, but it actually doesn't, because Bubble Crabhammer is just that much better than Mudshot Earthquake. So I'm just making sure that we're not going to faint out, there's not any issues, and we both lose our Pokemon. And you'll see that we're both on our fourth Pokemon, so pretty similar tankiness as I described because of the resistance. And that also speaks to how tanky Groudon is, because it's about the same as Kingler, but Kingler has that 1.6 boost from resisting both. Was it Fire Spin? Looks like Fire Spin. I could be wrong. Nope, Fire Fang, because I see the little fangs below. So Groudon's able to survive a little bit longer than Kingler, but not that much longer. And again, that just highlights the slight degree of tankiness that Groudon has that Kingler doesn't have even after applying the resistances. So we're plugging away. We're looking pretty good. And these 1-bar moves, I'm just checking to see when I need to relobby. These 1-bar moves are just very punishing. And you'll see that the Iron Head fainted me, so it didn't really matter there. And Sparkle Tangerine's using her shiny 90% Kingler. Also, this new like relobby screen. It's not that new. I don't do raids that often anymore. It certainly makes it way slower to relobby. And Sparkle Tangerine is just plugging away with her Kinglers with Bubble, Crabhammer. And I love the fact, don't get me wrong, I love the fact that Kingler is finally getting its day. Yeah, it certainly makes relobbying slower. And Sparkle Tangerine with a smooth relobby. Back in. I'm able to land one more Earthquake before fainting, which is great. And we're not in any particular danger of failing this raid. And we're just plugging away, chugging away. Man, if Groudon had Earth Power, it would put it in the category that I think it should be, where there's very few Pokemon. Maybe like Heatran might be the only example, where in Raikou, for example, electrics and things that are double weak to ground but don't have a double fighting weakness. So Heatran is one example. Heatran and other electric types, where Groudon needs this 1.6 advantage over every other Pokemon before it becomes the very best. It's not enough to have the weather boost advantage over a water Pokemon. You need the 1.6 multiplier, which I find pretty nuts for a Pokemon that has such a great lore and such a great story behind it. It really should be in the ranks with Kyogre, where it's only being beaten in very situational settings. And wherever it's super effective and has equal amounts of super effective, it should be in the top 3 conversations of the Pokemon that deal the fastest time to win. So if you like this video, you want me to do these types of analysis, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see everyone in the next video.